You know, it's been said that a good gospel afflicts the comfortable and comforts the afflicted. I always repeat that because I love that line. And yesterday's readings really did that for me. I felt really challenged in some areas, but then also really comforted in some areas that I needed it. Let's start with that line from the gospel. I will not leave you orphans. Jesus said, I will not leave you orphans. You know, so many times I think people walk away from their faith, walk away from a relationship with God because they feel like He has let something go wrong. And they're like, I don't get it. I thought if I was a follower and I did the right thing and I stayed close to you, nothing would go wrong. But He never promised that. He promised that He would be with us through anything, not that He would protect us from everything, right? I think if we can hang on to that, especially in times of trial, we will experience a hope, and we will sort of emit a hope and a joy that other people are going to want to know about. It's important because Pope Francis said a Christian who is not joyful is either not a Christian or he is sick. Joy is like the hallmark of a Christian. Joy is like the thing that separates us from everybody else. We're supposed to have a joy that goes beyond understanding, right? A joy that goes beyond, like, yeah, your team just won, so you're joyful. Yeah, you just had an amazing plate of nachos, so you're joyful. Those are things that make me joyful. But the joy I get from a relationship with Christ, the joy I get from knowing Him and from being known by Him, that joy should supersede the situations, the daily ups and downs and the seasons of life. To know that we are not alone, that we have a friend, we have a companion on the journey, that the Lord who breathed His very life into us, the Lord who laid down His life for us, the Lord who, you know, wills us into existence every day, is not just sort of from afar good. He is good right alongside us. He is on the journey with us. He goes before us to prepare the way. He's behind us, kind of pushing us from behind on our journey, and He's right alongside us as well. And He's within us, right? So He couldn't be closer. He couldn't be any closer if He wanted to be. And sometimes an encounter with God doesn't necessarily make us feel joyful right away. Sometimes it convicts us that something in our life needs to change. Sometimes it means that we have some really hard work ahead of us, right? But the long-term fruit of it is always joy. So what a beautiful reminder, and then just what a beautiful encouragement from Pope Francis. Be like, hey, Christians, we've got to be joyful. The world needs it. We can't say we believe in the risen Lord, and we can't say we believe in His love for us, and then at the same time not be joyful people. It literally doesn't make sense. And this is a joy that isn't necessarily subject to the ups and downs of normal life. It doesn't have to go away with the seasons. I mean, of course, there are going to be happier times than others, but this joy we're talking about is something way deeper. It's not going to be swayed by the waves on the surface. It's rooted deep down into the ground. And this joy should make people around us notice that there's something different, right? That second reading has that awesome line that you've heard a bunch of times before. Always be ready to give an explanation to anyone who asks for a reason for your hope. You know, and it immediately makes me think, first of all, do I even have a hope worth noticing? Like, do I even have a hope that people would ask about? Because I really want to. I want to be a person filled with such joy and such hope from knowing I am infinitely, intimately loved just as I am by my God and Father, by the one who my soul longs for, right? The one who I was created to worship, you know, that He loves me, that He sees me, He knows me, He invites me to know Him, and that He'll never leave us orphaned, that He will always be with us until the end. He will always be with us, right? And there's that hope, again, not hoping that if we follow Him that nothing bad will ever happen, but the hope that no matter what happens, He will always be with us. So, you know, just as a quick encouragement to anybody who maybe heard that and thought, okay, always be ready to give an explanation for your hope. What exactly does that mean? How do I do that? I just want to give you 3 quick things. The first is take some time, and especially if you're in quarantine right now, you should have time to do this. Take some time to reflect on your journey. Like, I think as time goes on, as life gets complicated, we make new friends, we're in different relationships, we have different jobs, we move to different cities. A lot of times we can become almost unfamiliar with our own story. You know, there's been so many, you know, bends in the road that sometimes it's hard to keep it all straight. Take some time to reflect on your own life and really try to see God's hand at work in all the different sort of stages of your life, and then, dream about where he and you can go from here on out. I think just sort of taking time to kind of refamiliarize ourselves with not only our story, but God's hand in it. And then the second thing I would say, make a 3-minute testimony. If you're not familiar with that idea, it's really common in kind of missionary evangelism when you don't have a lot of time, but you want to share with people the message of what God has done in your life. You just break it down into 3 minutes. The first minute, you just talk about your life before you came to know the Lord. And then the second minute, you describe that coming to know the Lord. And then the third minute, you dedicate to sharing about all the amazing adventures that has been now your life with the Lord, your life of knowing the Lord. And in 3 minutes, you can kind of tell that whole story. And of course, you maybe won't be able to jam it all in, but it'll be enough to give people sort of an understanding of where you came from, how you met the Lord, and how that has changed your life. And so even that would be a way of you answering the command to always be ready, right? And then the third thing is he says to do it with gentleness and reverence. I love that reminder, that encouragement, because look, if we're almost so passionate about it that it turns into like a weird anger for anyone who doesn't see it the way we see it, that's definitely not going to be effective. Gentleness. Remember what it was like to feel very distant from him, and maybe you don't even have to think that hard to remember what that was like. And have compassion when you're talking to someone who doesn't understand the hope you have. Have a gentleness that is inviting, but not like pushy, And then with reverence, have a great sense of awe and reverence for the Word of God that you're sharing. Have an awe and a reverence for the way that the Lord has worked in your life. Be humble about it. Be humbled by it. I think those things will really help you witness your faith in a way that draws other people in. And then, of course, cap it all off with like as Pope Francis said, be joyful. Let joy emanate from you. Remember what has been done for you. We're still in the Easter season, right? Let joy shine from you. Even in the days that are not necessarily happy, if they can be joyful, if there can be that sort of strong current of joy that is steady throughout the ups and downs of life, the people we come in contact with will know something's different, and they'll ask. And then you can be ready to give them a reason for your hope. All right, I'll see you next week. Go and be launched.